Hello guys and welcome to another video. So today is one of those infinitely long summer days and I am bored, so I decided that I should take a look at my bookshelves. And as I always do when I'm bored, I decided it was a great idea to just reorganize them for the 100th time this year. And now let's take a look at the bottom shelf of my bookshelf that you barely ever see in my videos. Because you rarely ever see it, it's the worst of my bookshelves. So I will expose my shame. Here we go. Okay, so here is the bottom shelf. I know it's not terrible, it's just books and two bears. It doesn't go with the rest of my bookshelf. Because at this point, I've been showing so much of my bookshelf online that it's all very well thought out. Everything has a rhyme and a reason. And this is just like leftover books, so it does not match with anything else. So today we are fixing that. Let's take a look at bookshelf number 2. Okay, so here is bookshelf number 2, and basically what I want to do is fill up that empty space I have there because I did the unhauling. So I'm gonna clear this out and leave some space for more books. Here is my book cart, which is now currently holding all of my diaries, some books that had nowhere else to go, and my frisbee. And all of the books we will be unhauling again. Now this is looking already so much better. I have all of my Korean albums, then my mix of CDs, my movies, all of my Teen Wolf DVDs. So that's perfect. Okay, so step number 2, I think I'm gonna put all of my comic books, manga, and magazines here, and then all of my books up here so I can look at them better. Let's go.
Let's go!
I underestimated how hard filming this video was gonna be in 40-degree weather, but let's get on with it. Here is the bag. The bag of shame of books that I am giving or selling. Goodbye, let's move on. So here I want the most recent reads, and then the other one is kind of like my nostalgia shelf. But before we get into those, let's see some of your questions. Hi, I've been enjoying your videos these past few weeks, but here's 2 questions. First of all, thank you so much for watching. What are a few Taylor Swift songs that you think fits Percy and Annabeth? I was thinking about it. I think Lover could be a very Percabeth kind of album, and specifically the song Lover. Very Percabeth. Also, while I was thinking about this question, one song that came to mind was The Way I Loved You, because it's like a turbulent romance, and I don't think that applies to Percabeth as a couple, but to them as, growing up together and being friends, but still getting into many arguments. So I think that one could apply. Maybe Mine is also a good Percabeth song. And do you have any headcanons in Uncle Rick's books? If so, what are they? I think I probably have like 100 headcanons that to me are just canon, because I've been in this world, in this book universe so long that it's hard to separate fanon from canon at this point. In my mind, Leo and Annabeth would be very good friends. That's something that I've always thought, but more so recently, especially after I did the series Rewriting Heroes of Olympus, and I think that Percy and Piper would also be very good friends, and I would love to see that foursome in action. They would be the most chaotic. Next question is, do you listen to Taylor Swift, Olivia Rodrigo, or Conan Gray? If yes, who and which are your favorite songs by them? I have to say that I love Taylor Swift and I love Olivia Rodrigo, and I have heard of Conan Gray, but I have not listened to his music, but I think I have a feeling that I would enjoy it. So let me know your favorite songs by him and I will listen to them. I have been in a very intense kick of listening to Taylor's version of Red. It's so good. All Too Well 10-minute version owns me. And Olivia Rodrigo, I love Brutal, Jealousy, and Good For You are probably my favorites out of that album, but I enjoy it so much. My day instantly gets better when you post a new video, and my day just instantly got better because of that comment. Thank you very much. Okay, a couple more questions and we'll look at the books. What's the book you're most excited to read that's on your TBR? Oh my god. Okay, so I have an answer that I have to give. It's not necessarily the one I'm most excited about, but one that I have been postponing for so long, and that is, The Priory of the Orange Trees. So I got this one for Christmas. Yes, more than 7 months ago. It's been a while. My reasoning for this is that this is a thick book and it's fantasy. So I couldn't read it while at school because I have to have a very specific mindset to read fantasy because I want to remember everything and understand everything. But then at the same time, I read 13 fantasy books back to back to back, and I had no issue with doing that. Reading 13 books that are 300 pages long somehow to me is not as huge as a task as reading one book that is less than 1,000 pages long. So I don't know how my mind works, but I have to read this book eventually. Which music artists do you listen to? So besides the obvious ones that I've already mentioned enough in this video, I listen to 17. They are a K-pop group. And besides them, one of my favorite all-time artists is called La Oreja de Van Gogh. Listening to them is like, I don't know, eating warm chicken noodle soup. It's so good for my soul and it makes me feel right at home. Which book that has been recommended by Book Talk were you most disappointed by and it didn't live up to what others said? So recommended by TikTok, I would say The Love Hypothesis because I don't read a lot of TikTok recommended books. I wouldn't say I was disappointed. I knew it was going to be a bad book, so I was just entertained. But a book that I have been hugely disappointed by is Every Word You Never Said. I bought this book because my brother's friend designed the cover and this, so I was like, yeah, I want to read it and I want to support her. But when I read it, the first 150 pages were fine, but then it became blaringly obvious to me that this had been written by a white gay man. So I think the gay part, obviously, great. Own voices, love to see it. But it was so clear that this was a white man, the privilege and the complaints that he has about society. The cover's pretty though. Is there a book adaptation that you've enjoyed more than the original book? If so, what is it and why? I would have to say The 100. The 100 trilogy is very bad. It's actually terrible. Trash. But the 100 TV show, seasons 1 through 2, is actually pretty good. I really liked it. I loved some of the characters. I loved Bellamy's and Clark dynamic, whether it's, romantic or platonic. I think they're adorable together. I cannot speak for anything further than season 2. I have watched 3 and 4, and it pains me to admit it because they weren't good. To all the boys I've loved before, 1, I enjoyed the movie better than the books, and maybe the whole trilogy, just because my favorite book was the first one, but I still enjoyed the movie better. So, following that logic, I liked all 3 movies more than the books, but I still liked both of them. Okay, can you talk about your sexuality if you're okay? I'm also aro ace and would love to hear your side. Interesting question, thanks for asking. Yeah, I don't mind talking a bit about it. It's a very open question, so I don't know what to say about it. I guess I kind of found out on my 4th year of college. So very late, I guess, but I don't know. I think it's hard to know if you're aro ace, especially because there's no representation of it in media. So I was just super confused. I was like, what am I? Because am I bi? Am I a lesbian? Very confusing. It turns out I was neither. I was none of those. I don't know, just being aro ace in general is, I think, a very confusing experience, especially because of this world. Like, what we see in the media and all around us is romantic love, like the ideal thing to have in your life. Like, you grow up, you get a job, you get married, so you have kids. You don't usually have that if you're aro ace, unless you have like a very strong platonic connection with someone. Like, it's hard for me to understand why people do and want the things they do and want, but it's also hard for them to understand why I do not want or feel those things. So it kind of feels isolating. That's a word. Isolating. If you want me to talk more about aromanticism or asexuality, that's the word, leave a comment and let me know, and maybe I'll make a whole video about it. Hi, I'm a massive fan, so hello, thank you for watching my videos. Okay, my question is, what song is currently stuck in your head? It's called Breathe. It's from the musical Prom. I watched the movie version on Netflix, and this was my favorite song. And it starts by, note to self, don't be gay in Indiana. And it's just a great song, and very funny and sad at the same time. How would you rank the Percy Jackson books from most liked to least liked? Most liked by me or the fandom? If you want most liked, I have a video for that. By the fandom, couldn't really say. There's a lot of varying opinions. Hi, I hope you're having an awesome day, and here's my question. If you could live in any other country, where would you live and why? I always have two different answers for this. I love Spain, so I want to live here. But if it was up to me, maybe the United Kingdom is somewhere that I would want to live. I lived for 4 years in England, so I already know what that's like. I kind of want to try Scotland as well. I had a chance to intern there, and then 2020 happened. And then my other answer for this is the United States, not because I love it as a country, but because two of my best friends are there, so I would just live there to live closer to them because I haven't seen them in about 4 years in person. So those are my answers. And if Percy Jackson could take place in any other country, which country would it be and why? I don't think it could take place in any other country, just because the basis of the series is that the gods and that Parthenon moves depending on where the center of Western power is. I don't think it could be anywhere else. Maybe Britain or Germany, maybe? I don't know. I don't think it would work, and obviously with Heroes of Olympus, it could not work in Europe for obvious reasons. What do you think is going to happen to Will and Nico in the next book? I'm sorry I cannot answer that question because I will make a video about this someday. I have been very lazy about doing videos lately, like actually sitting down and filming them, and this is one that I would kind of need to script at least an outline of what I want to say, but that video is coming eventually. All about my thoughts and theories and your thoughts and theories on the Solange look. So look forward to that. It is coming. Favorite genre, what are you most excited for the Solangelo novel? Not answering that one. Fantasy and urban fantasy are two of my favorite genres ever. I also dabble a bit in sci-fi because it's just generally fantasy and space. I also read contemporary, obviously. Who is your favorite character from the Reorganizing? I love you so much. Thank you. I love you too. Favorite character, obviously Percy Jackson, and Annabeth Chase a close second. Boring answers. Fun answer, I don't know. Blackjack is a chill dude. Sometimes a chill woman, depending on which book you're reading. Oh, and someone said, what's your least favorite book you've read? I don't remember. I don't keep tabs on books that I don't like. I try to move on with my life. But this summer, it has to be this one, unfortunately. Bye-bye. I think it would be a good idea to put those books down there. What do you think? By the time you're watching this and commenting, it's already been done. But I think that's what I'm gonna do. So let me know down below if you think it's a good idea. Transporting my books from bookshelf number 1 to bookshelf number 2 has never been easier, and it's all thanks to this book card. It sounds like I'm sponsored, but I'm not. This is IKEA. I don't even know if they sponsor people. But if you want to sponsor me, IKEA, I'm all for it. Boom! Bookshelf number 2 is done, and it's looking so much better than it did before, and I underestimate my bookshelf organizing abilities because I thought I'd pick too many books for the nostalgia shelf, but I picked literally just enough. It's done. There it is, and now my book cart is blissfully empty. Okay, so I'm already exhausted and sweating buckets after doing that, so let's answer a couple more questions, why don't we? What's the best book you've read this summer? I don't think I have an answer for the best book I've read this summer, but I definitely have an answer to the book that has made me more addicted to it this summer. By no means am I proud of this answer, but it's the Foxhole Court trilogy. You might be thinking, those are like very weird covers and very weird font and a very weird blurb at the end that's like black and white and bubble letters. Well, that's because this is a self-published trilogy, and apparently the covers were done by the author's sister, which to me makes a lot of sense, and that's why I've seen a lot of people buy dust jackets, fan-made dust jackets to put over these. They feel like you're reading a PDF because it's clearly not been designed by anyone, like the inside of the book. Oh my god, I just realized it's not justified. There's not one straight line. Oh my god, that's gonna drive me nuts. There's not a lot of space between the lines. It feels like I'm studying when I read this, which is why I read them online, and then when I knew I liked them, I bought them. I have to say, there's a review of this, I'll show it on screen, that I found after reading them that just captures my feelings entirely. I read these in 4 days, and afterwards, when I thought, damn, that was just 4 to 5 days, I thought I had lost my mind. They felt like a fever dream, and afterwards I was so obsessed with 2 of the characters that I spent a whole other day on the Tumblr tag and on their Pinterest tag. These books sound good, and I can't in any way, shape, or form recommend them, especially if you're under 18. There's nothing explicit, but the things that happen, I can't recommend to someone who isn't mature enough to know that it isn't good, and it isn't a good portrayal of a lot of things. It has a lot of triggers. Clearly, this author has not researched anything before writing this, and it has a lot of probably harmful depictions of some topics. But I was still addicted to it, and I loved it, and I don't recommend it to anyone. I don't want to inflict my pain and my obsession onto anyone. Don't read them, but I love them. If you want me to make a separate video for this, I will, because I have so many thoughts. It's wild. Very, very interesting question. Do you think Percy could be lame at times? Why or why not? Percy could be lame sometimes, and I think he is lame sometimes. Percy is a person. I think Percy has the capacity and the ability to be very cool. I think that generally he is not. When he is fighting, I think Percy is at his coolest. When he is not fighting or defending and he is just living, I think Percy is very lame, and I love that about him because I like when people have layers. How old were you when you started Percy Jackson and the Olympians? I was in 9th grade, exam season, as you probably know. So I have to say 13, going on 14, target audience. What's your all-time favorite manga? Very good question. Now, I always have 2 answers, but I'm gonna delight you with 3 this time. So my all-time favorite one has to be, just because I know it's objectively the best, Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist. The story is incredible, the characters very well written, it's all very clearly well thought out, and the message is very good. My second favorite one is Haikyuu. I think I like the Haikyuu characters a lot more than I like most characters of Full Metal Alchemist. I say most because Ed and Al are forever my children. Haikyuu just does a better job at building and developing its secondary characters. They're just more interesting, which also is because of the world. It's just more interesting for me to see kids who were my age when I started reading it more than, men in the military. So I think Haikyuu is very good, and I love the message that they send. I almost cried when I read the last volume when it came out, and I think it's just a very positive message to send into the world, very hopeful. And my third answer is Lovely Complex. I recently started rereading it, and it just makes me so happy. It's the dumbest premise ever. It's about a girl who is very tall and a guy who is very short, starting to be friends, competing, then helping each other out with their love lives, and then slowly falling for each other. Hater friends to lovers. Friends who bicker and banter all the time, to later on lovers who bicker and banter all the time. It always makes me laugh and smile, so that's why I have to recommend it. Okay, so here is the finished product for now, and I didn't know if I would like it, but I actually kind of like it. It's exactly the same as it was, but lower, and now that I have this one fully empty, I can grow my Cassandra Clare collection, like I know it's going to. Next up, we have this shelf. I don't know if you can tell, but I started noticing that I have a lot of blues, orange, and yellows with whites and blacks. So I wanted to do kind of like an ombre from black to blue to orange, yellow, then to white. And I think it kind of looks cool. Can't promise I'm not gonna buy 30 books the next time I have money. Honestly, just kidding. I've been reading a lot of digital books lately, and that's been very nice because then I get to sample the books and then know if I want to invest in them. Which is your favorite series out of the Reorganverse? Why and which one is your least favorite? The only thing I know is that my favorite one is Percy Jackson and the Olympians by far. And I think my least favorite one is the King Chronicles. I don't think I related to it as much. Maybe it just didn't resonate with me for some reason. But I will reread it eventually and I'll let you know if my feelings change. What other fandoms are you in? That's always such an interesting question because sitting in front of this background, you can at least tell I love Haikyuu, I read manga, I watch anime, I love Alice Oseman. By the way, I've finished all of her books. A lot of thoughts on that. I like Cassandra Clare, I love Teen Wolf, I love cartoons a lot. Some of my favorites are The Owl House. I loved Amphibia so much. I cried in the 3rd season finale. I also watched Voltron, though I'm not proud to admit it. Marvel movies and DC comics. I'm just in a lot of fandoms. I am generally in fandom, so I dabble. And finally, you look very pretty. How's your day? Well, my day has been sweaty and full of fan fiction. I'm not proud of that either, but it was good fan fiction. And I wanted to finish it, okay? I need something to fill this up with. But I literally have no more books because obviously I'm giving some away. So let me know what books you think should be the ones to fill this space in my bookshelf. Luckily for us, this doesn't show up in any of my other videos. It's rainbow bookshelf and upwards, so it can stay like that for a while. But it's always nice to know I have space, but I also don't like seeing it. So that's why it's lower. And I guess that's the end of this impromptu video. I was just bored and I wanted to reorganize it, and I also wanted to make a video out of it. So please leave a like if you like this video. Please comment down below if you think that I should buy more books already, and subscribe if you haven't already. Click that bell button so you get notifications every time I post another video. I post videos just like this every single Friday, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye! This is exactly what booktubers don't want you to see. Every time they organize a shelf, another one ends up looking like this. Ugh.